Buzz, the show that keeps you updated on what's trending on social media. We welcome you to the program this afternoon. It's Wednesday, it's the 18th of July, 2018. My name is Patience, and I'm glad to be here. Alera is here as well. Good afternoon, Alera.
Oh, I don't know what to say. Good afternoon, Patience.
Afternoon to you.
I wanted to call in, just wanted to call my boss and just tell my boss that, sir, I'm stopped in traffic.
I can't come to work.
Take it to work.
Yeah.
Because First Tech Access is actually like, it's been a no-go area. And I don't know.
And unless it's been like that for a couple of days now. I don't know what's going on. Anyways.
If you're a learner, I am just, this is more or less like a very, very candid advice. If you're a learner, please don't even try flying that route at all, please. Because everyone drives. I'm telling you, you'll get scared.
You
and
learn inside traffic.
a lot of cars will be kissing each other on the roads, if you know what I mean.
Wow, interesting. All right, we have Mr. Godi Ofosa here with us. Good afternoon, Mr. Godi. And Mr. Francis Chilaka is here as well. And both of you experience the traffic too. Yeah, I don't know, what actually is
that traffic is tying
going
serious
on?
wrapper. Let's not just go out
I don't
there.
know.
I think the problem is we need to do something about these tanker drivers and these container drivers and all of that. The Lagos State government needs to do more. They need to find where to keep these guys, because if they don't do that, we'll wake up one morning and nobody will be able to come to work. It's really getting out of hand. They are moving from the express even into Agor Palace Way, into everything. And they just block the road with reckless abandon.
And funny enough, along that cellar, there is like a big ditch there. So a lot of cars tend to avoid that part.
ditch, yeah.
Do you understand?
So
and
that's
you
further
drive
narrows,
do you
you know, the
understand?
road.
So
I
everything
understand.
is crazy. Even the last month
You
guys
see,
are
you
tired.
guys were not seeing it. When we were complaining about what is it called, Ikorodu Road to Bongbong to Costain, you were not seeing it. Now they have come to your end.
No, they're still there.
They're still there. They're
The
still
only thing I
there.
want to appeal to you is that come to my side. There is no trailer.
Where is that?
What tribe is that? Maybe we can consider it. All right, but this is sending strong message out to the authorities, you know. Let's do something to ease up, you know, the traffic. People are having a hellish time trying to get about, you know, their daily work, and I don't think that is even good for productivity, if you know what I mean. If you are in traffic from 6:30 and you're getting to work like 10, you spent like half of your work day in traffic already. I don't know what else you're going to deliver when you get to work. Let's do something urgently about this. Meanwhile, before we progress on the show, let me use this medium to say a big thank you to everybody who wished me well yesterday. I mean, my timeline has been flooded on Facebook since yesterday. People sending congratulatory messages. Thank you so much. I mean, it's so overwhelming, all the love. You were not here yesterday. My daughter graduated from secondary school.
I saw you.
Congratulations! I thought you were going to say she graduated from university.
No, don't know.
She's done with secondary school now. It's wow. I mean, thank you so much, everyone, for the love. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, 0802-836-8971 is the number to use for SMS, and also our other social media portals are open for you.
Yes, and that's on Facebook, facebook.com/Galaxy TV, and on Twitter at official Galaxy TV. Knowing that you can get to watch previous editions of the program via our YouTube channel, Galaxy TV Nigeria, and catch a repeat broadcast sometime around 1 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day.
For the night birds, the nocturnal viewers who refuse to sleep. Yeah, that's your time. Okay. All right, let's get the show started. We're starting by way of LCCI worries over plan to hike duty on food items. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, has expressed worry over enforcement of the approved amendment to the excise duty rates for alcoholic beverages, spirits, and tobacco, and the plan to extend it to several other basic items. According to the Director General for LCCI, Mr. Muda Yusuf, such move would further aggravate the poverty situation in the country and undermine the welfare of the citizens. I mean, we're talking about basic items such as soap, detergent, cleansing of facial tissue, spaghetti, noodles, you know. These are products that Nigerians consume, you know, in large quantities and all of that. So if the excise duty on these particular basic items are also increased, what does this mean, you know, for the Nigerian people, putting in mind that we're still grappling, you know, with the current economic reality of us as a people and as a nation? Mr. Goddy.
What it means is that we're still going to go further down on our poverty rating. We're still going to go further down because a lot of people will not see something to eat, cannot even afford some of these basic items that we are getting. And please, let us just put it like
Imagine
this.
not being able to buy soap.
Let's just put it like this. Some of these things, I don't know why, if some of these things are not imported, some of them are being manufactured here. Noodles, spaghetti, the soaps, and the rest of it. Why do you have to look at that? The only thing I look at this government in particular is that they just want to make money. They just look for a way to make money. It's in Lagos. You can. As I was walking into this building, I saw a notice, but I have to stop and read. I'm talking about building, taxes, and the rest of it. And I'm asking myself, the workers have been on the government neck for as long as I can remember for salary increment. Government has not done anything about it. Now, the LCCI is worried. It's not just worried, because all the LCCI members could afford all of these things. The LCCI members are worried for us. They are worried for us because we cannot afford some of this. And I think government should actually have a rethink in some of the policies that are putting in place, especially those things that are supposed to have boosted our economy and make an average Nigeria, live above the poverty line. You are actually trying to impoverish us the more by adding so much burden on us, on our little income. Because if I cannot afford to buy soap for my kids to bathe, what can I do?
I mean, the basic children eat noodles, spaghetti.
I believe the excise duty has to do with stuff that are actually being imported into the country. I know there are times that once you probably go down to any grocery stores, you might probably just get to see the imported noodles and the local noodles. A lot of people will still want to go for the imported noodles. You understand? So more or less, it's more or less like trying to promote the made in Nigeria.
Excuse me?
But
No. Don't go there. Just don't. I don't want that to land. Honestly, this is something I don't want to hear. I don't even go there.
Older. But are we looking at it from this angle, that it's a move to actually promote the Made in Nigeria brand? Because the Made in Nigeria brand is going to be more affordable than the imported ones. Are we looking at it that way? Hold on now, Mr. Chilaka.
No. I'm looking. I want to be sure you're sure of what you're saying.
All right, Mr. Chilaka,
No, wait. You're talking of promoting the Made in Nigerian brand.
Yes.
How many industries are really working in this country?
First and foremost.
Like
That's the first question we should
producing.
That's the first question we should ask. You move from the industries. How many car plants do we have? You stay in Festac. You'll find out that the whole of Festac area, down to Agor, down to the whole of Amu-Odofi, every corner is a car shop. And what kind of cars do they sell? Tokumbo cars.
Of course.
Are we not ashamed? It simply shows that this government has no vision. The government has no vision. It has no respect for the human dignity of Nigerians. Because we're talking of hunger. Last few weeks we were here talking about sharing 5,000 to households, and somebody was sitting down telling me it is good. Now you're talking of putting excise duty on spaghetti.
And imported.
Please.
That way.
Please. Even if it is imported, why have we not been able to develop the industry we have in Aba till now? Now you start from somewhere to get to somewhere.
Okay, sorry, without meaning to promote brands, I think Dofil is the only noodles manufacturing company in Nigeria that is productive enough, worthy of mention, if you know what I mean. I do know of a particular brand that was locally owned, locally run, but it's been sold. Yes, so
now you look at it. If you want to see, these are the things I'm talking about. You see, we don't. This thing does not require rocket science.
Simple.
Now, you want to promote made in Nigerian brands. You had a P&G who was producing diapers in this country.
Where are they?
You couldn't even give him a tax rebate. You couldn't even block the borders from the August of this world not to come in. Now you were putting a lot of pressure on the same company. There is no public power supply. There is no water. There is no firefighting equipment owned by government. Now, the company has actually abandoned its $330 million
investment
in Agbara. He has left. Let me also tell you, some few years ago, L'Oreal, the makers of, sorry, I'm not advertising any products here, the makers of Dark and Lovely that you guys use, made a plan to build a plant in this country and start production. The government made it very difficult for them to start. And do you know what they have done? They have actually moved that investment to Ghana.
Of course, a lot of these companies have gone to Ghana.
When you are doing all of those things, what do you do? How did government get around the local rice production? We didn't need to put any excise duty. Ban. Stop.
You stop when you stop when you have an alternative.
Before you stop, like
you must have an alternative.
You have to empower. You have to have an enabler. Empower those who are producing. Ensure the capacity that they have can take care of us. Then you can do that. You saw the knee-jerk approach that the government took in banning the foreign rice. What happened?
It's just encouraging smuggling.
You knew what happened.
Smuggling has taken a new dimension.
So I believe that there are a lot of things, there are a lot of areas that this government needs to look into to improve our life. You see, recently an organization came up to say Nigeria is the poorest country in the world, and the federal government issued a statement and say it's a lie. As if they are the one who did the research, who did the survey. Before this program, I was having a discussion with and I said, look, go to some villages in Nigeria. Some of them, somebody yesterday said, the education, nothing, what can a parent do without sending his children to school? I said, look, there are some who live in homes without doors.
Yeah, but it's true.
They cannot afford it. Not as if they don't want it. They are still sleeping on mats.
Adding to that, you know, we keep talking about the poverty level. The federal government has federal secretariat in Ikoyi. What has happened to it?
It's rusting away.
It is rusting away. The federal government has properties all over the places that are not being used. And yet Nigerians have no home to stay. We spend millions building homes for newspapers, for A4 papers, for printing machines. We do not have what it takes to build homes for Nigerians to live in. You cannot tell me that you want to stop importation when you do not have an alternative. We don't have alternative. There is no industry that is giving us alternative.
Exactly. Okay, so in a nutshell, this is more or less like a wrong move.
It is. It's completely a wrong move.
Let's not forget that. I mean, we're still battling
economically when you look
food
at
inflation. I'm a married woman. I have a family. I go to the market I go to the market every day. So every day I'm faced, with this reality. A cup of egusi
is 1,000 plus right now.
It's
how did you know?
It's appalling.
No.
I mean, egusi is something that
from 150 to 200 to 1,000 plus.
I can't remember the last time I have
to 1,200.
But
how did we get there?
Patience. Talking about food inflation, you and I are actually the major causes. I could remember even common vegetables that you could as well just get a plant around in your surrounding. You probably go to the market and the market woman is telling you everything is inflation, everything has gone up, country don't add. And you're wondering, That's what is.
So how did I cause that?
You understand?
Wait, let me.
You and I just want to make
Alero.
You
How
and
did I
I
cause
just want
that?
to make money out of
No,
everything.
Alero,
I
listen.
disagree.
Do you know, Alero, listen.
Okay.
You need to understand the pains these women that bring in these products from the villages, from the
What they
rural
go
area, what they
through.
go through. First and foremost, as they're coming, you see a lot of them sitting on top of this rickety.
Goods, yes, on the vehicles.
Policemen will stop them, they will settle.
True.
It is not hidden. Now, for every money they give out, area boys are there. For every money they give out, it has to be added to the cost of production.
When they get to the market, before they can put the wares on the ground and
They will pay.
sell,
That's actually money.
Agbero will collect money.
There are a lot of factors.
Because, are you aware that
Listen.
it's difficult to get 15 naira ugu in the market now? It starts from 100 naira,
Go and get
which
it
might
now.
not even be able to make you a sizable pot of soup. I'm telling you, it's, I mean,
You see, some of these factors don't go too far. There are factors that actually cause some of these inflations. And these factors are stated by government. We were in this Lagos when this government decided to increase price of petroleum product per liter from 86 naira to 140 for 145. And they promised us that within a year it will come down. And between that time, between the increments till date, we have actually suffered multiple fuel scarcity, which ensure that you pay more than the pump price at some point. Now we are paying 145. There is a woman that goes to the market to buy ugu, like you said. You will pay transport down to this place. When it comes, tells, this child come back from school, a private school. It's not a public school, mind you. Come back from school would increment in their school fees.
No, that one is normal every session.
Now, the woman is expected to sell and pay for the school fees. Is expected to sell and feed them because you can't sell ugu and eat raw ugu.
So you need to now increase the price.
Those
of
are the
ugu.
things. Now, if the government has functional public school,
A lot of
the
these
child
things.
will not come back home and say,
Mommy.
Mommy, this is the money they say we should pay.
No, but I'm surprised Alero is taking this
Now, if
position.
the government
Sorry.
has-
No, I'm sorry, because Alero, I know you have a child that is in
No.
private school. How many children, how many local schools are working?
Alero cannot even send a child to a public school.
no.
How many?
Why?
You cannot, because they are not
Why are
working.
you saying that?
The locals, the public schools are not functional.
They're not functional. That's the truth.
They're not functional.
That is the
Talk
truth.
about transportation. All the rickety
All the
cars on the
factors,
roads
you know, it's-
are privately owned.
It's too much.
So when you look at some of this, I'm not just putting all of this blame on this particular government.
It has been from successive governments.
You see, at the end of the day, if you continue like this, like you said, someone who loves this government so much will say, see, they are talking about our government. And he has forgotten that he's living in this country. You are living here, you feed here, you school here, your children school here, you walk on the road. Today, Alero is complaining about traffic. Governors' children will not go near Festac. The day governor's child, you see, in this country, we knew the state of Aso Rock Clinic. Why did they do something? It was because the president's daughter raised an alarm. If you are the one that went to the Aso Rock Clinic and raised an alarm, tell you, shut up. What do you know? So until maybe we should beg our politicians and our governors, our president, to send their children to those areas that are not good. You can imagine. Have you been to Felash right now?
It
is marvelous.
It is wonderful.
Why did Trump not come to Oron? So that Buhari can tap the entire Oron for him?
No, I think Macron should go to Owerri.
It should come. It should go everywhere.
We don't even need to do a statue of him anymore in Owerri.
So instead of us, back to the topic, instead of us to begin to encourage government to take some of these steps that are counterproductive, we should encourage them to do the right thing. See, when you, listen, I keep telling everybody, if I go to work, I come back, and I make a little money the day I come back, my son will not tell me, Daddy, I want to eat biscuits. I will buy it. Yes. I will buy it. If government put all of these things in place, you won't tell anybody not to pay tax.
Well
you
said.
will voluntarily pay tax.
No, but
Voluntarily.
let me just say this. I think
Quickly.
the government should learn to listen to the people with their ears, their heart, and feel their pains. We seem to have people, before they get into government, they bring themselves to the level of the people, the ordinary people. But the moment they get into government, they forget the people. They become a higher class people than those they left behind.
True.
So the government needs to change that attitude. People in government need to understand that you will still come back to us.
That's constituency.
Yes.
Okay,
Mr.
all right.
Goda,
Let's
listen,
look at
are you
how.
learning? Don't change.
Let's look at how viewers are reacting. It's true. I mean, poverty incidence in this country is over 60%.
60.
60?
Yes,
It's higher than that.
Yeah, and
Listen, I am poor.
I need the 5,000. I'm still, you know, we haven't got to the 5,000 yet.
Real. Please, let's do something about it. I mean, it's getting worse by the day. Anyways, someone is reacting here, says one of the worst situations many people cannot resist is that of pressure, especially if it had to do with means of survival. When you create a situation for hunger, you are encouraging criminality. This other one says, already Nigeria, the giant of Africa, in quote, is ranking the top 5 poorest country in the world. And, now there's a move to take some basic domestic household stuff. God help us all. We are not ranking number 5. We are taking over from India. Yeah. We are now number 1.
India is number 2. Number 6
in the world. I mean, that's what.
If there's anything other than 1, that's where we belong right now.
Wow.
You know,
wow.
Madam,
depressing.
When they were warning this government that by June, if you don't take some steps, that you will be promoted above India in this aspect. They didn't listen. They thought that empower is to elevate. But see, look, when you look at some of these things, and I say, look, some of the policies are just elitist. It's for money for the boys.
Mr. Goda, do you elevate poverty?
All right, we have to move on from this.
You do not do that. What you do is you empower people to get out of poverty.
Get out of poverty. You don't get people out of poverty by giving them, you know.
Stipends.
All right, let's move it along because of time. Let's look at a recent issue, Katsina flood. After a downpour that lasted hours on Monday, no fewer than 49 persons. Anyways, as at this afternoon, that figure has gone up to about 54 or 52, 54, thereabout. All right, people were killed with dozens still declared missing, while over 500 houses were destroyed in Katsina State. The downpour started at about 11 p.m. on Sunday night and stopped around 1 a.m. on Monday. It claimed lives of also livestock, about 260, and also destroyed farmlands in the area. I saw the footage, you know, really sad incidents that happened in Katsina State. All right, let's take a quick look at that footage, then we'll come back to the show.
Funny enough, limits actually
a day that will always be remembered and one that would rather be forgotten. It is difficult to believe that the devastation seen here was caused by a downpour that lasted only about 2 hours. However, for residents in Jibia local government area of Katsina State caught up in the resulting flood that destroyed their homes, it seemed to be an eternity. The acting chairman of Jibia local government narrates how it happened.
And I was made to understand both this river, the very big river we have, and the fund we have inside town. You know the volume of water that came. Definitely, if the water should be washed away from the town, certainly the big river will not allow that water to enter the river. So based on that, the river overflowed. The water had to come back inside town, thereby taking almost 1,000 houses.
The helplessness of the people can be heard in their chorus panic. Others only sit around, perplexed by the situation. 45 people have been killed by the flood. Animals are also part of the casualty list. Residents rummage through the rubble in search of what they can recover. Those who are able to retrieve their belongings move them to a safer place. Anywhere but here. The disaster has brought the state governor to the scene. He assures the people that they will receive the necessary support.
It is high time for us to think on ways to assist those affected by the rainstorm and take adequate steps to prevent recurrence. To this end, necessary assistance will be given to the victims affected by last night's rainstorm, and we will take measures to provide alternative channels for water in their local government area.
Nature has taken its course as it should, but the result, in the eyes of the people, is too much for them to bear. What they look forward to urgently now is when the promised relief will get to them, before the next downpour does.
I'm appealing to the government to please sympathize with the Daura people to set up this committee immediately as a matter of urgency to come and identify these places of drainages and then let the drainages be put in order so that we will be rescued out of this hazard.
Welcome back. All right, I mean, we saw the extent of damage, you know, to people's homes and property in that footage. Mr. Chilaka, let's start from you. This Katsina flood.
Well, to start with, it's painful. It is sad that we seem to have no more value for human life in this country. A lot of things are happening. Today is either people get killed for doing one, you know, herdsmen and farmers, then tomorrow a natural disaster. But I'm asking myself, what has happened in Katsina State? Is it really a natural disaster? Or is it negligence on the part of those who are supposed to do the right thing? It wasn't flawed by rain. I listened to the governor, you know, talking that they have done all sorts of drainages and all of that, and they've channeled the water into the GBL river also, and the thing came back on its own. Something must have gone wrong. Something must have gone wrong. And I think we need to change our attitude in governance in Nigeria. There must be continuity. There must be developmental programs. It is one word I haven't heard in a long time. If the government has done what they're supposed to do, if they've had good people to inspect the work the so-called contractors have done, this kind of thing should never.
In terms of channeling flood?
Yes, it should never happen. So, you know, and then we move a step further. They will not say there is no money. Like Mr. Goli was talking before, ecological fund. What do they use all this money for? Security vote, what do they use this money for? So the government needs to be more sensitive to the yearnings of the people. It's not just sitting in your luxury cars, being driven by 30 different cars, escorts, siren and all of that, blaring. And no. I think it's time Nigerian leaders begin to ask themselves questions. Are they leading human beings or are they leading animals? Why do a lot of Nigerians why do a lot of Nigerians change when they get into power? Is there something in that government house that changes people? Or is it that those who become leaders suddenly become imported? They lose touch with reality. They now have misplaced priorities.
All right, Alera was saying while that report was going on about the warning.
Yeah, from Nimitz, because
that went out earlier.
That was even like since last year. Nimitz had actually cried out, let me just put the word, cried out to the government.
And
warned us severely about flood.
Okay, Alero. Sometimes I'm beginning to think these days that you're working for this government. And no, I don't like.
I'm not aware.
No, because even if, no, the warning. Wait, Alero. The warning you're talking about is when it has to do with natural disaster. Nimet cannot warn you. No, it has to. No, let us be sincere with ourselves. It has to be with natural disaster. This is not
flooding.
natural.
It's flooding, not.
This is no. This particular one.
Classified as
this particular one.
Flooding.
This particular flooding is not natural.
Okay.
It is negligence on the side of those who constructed the so-called
drainage. And that's part of see, listen, Mr. Francis, that's one of the things. Fine, they warned them. And I expected the government to actually take a cue by making sure that all those things are actually in check.
That's why I'm coming in.
Do you understand?
That's why I'm coming in. Now, I will now take you back to how this same government discountenance the warning by the global poverty organizations that warn us. Now, they warn us. No, we are used to. It's as long as that thing is not done by government, it's not going to happen.
It's going to happen, yeah.
Do you understand? You see, like my colleague said, for me, I want to believe it's negligence. You see, some of these things, if this flood was not caused by rain and was caused by water fighting back, then you didn't do your job. Don't also forget that there was a time in Lagos that if Lagos government, Fashola government, had rested and forget about it, there would be nothing like Victoria Island today.
Yeah, it would have gone.
Sure. Yeah.
It would have gone.
There would be nothing like that.
Sure.
Now, you can't even see water when you are driving on
Amadu Bello. You can't.
You can't see water.
It's been put on his,
Now,
been checked.
The man who is the governor in Katsina State, don't forget, it was the House of Representatives Speaker.
Yes, Masari.
For 4 years. Don't forget. And don't also forget that where that thing happened, the president of this country comes from that place. And as I speak to you, he's still in Netherlands.
On official duty.
What happens in Katsina State where he comes from is more official than what he's doing there. I have seen.
So you'd have expected him to
come back
immediately.
Okay.
Yes, we know Nigerians that they will say that because it's his home state. That is why he comes back. See,
but they should have
a leader shouldn't even listen to all of these things. First and foremost, you come from Katsina State, Daura. Nobody today. Jonathan is in Otueke. Is he in Lagos? Is he living in this Lagos?
Nope.
He's in Lagos. If he doesn't stay in Lagos, you go to Abuja. Why don't you come back?
But Godi, let me just play.
Now,
no, Godi, let me play the devil's advocate for you.
Instead of governor to even talk about the value of human life, he was mentioning animals. He was counting animals.
Godi, I want to be the devil's advocate here. I want to ask you this, Godi. Yes, I agree. The buck stops at the desk of the president. But don't you think that those handling Mr. President are not even doing what they're supposed to do?
Mr. Chilak, I say, Mr. President was with us. If you listen to the story, how Mr. President was living in his own state, when some people in this Lagos went to go and pick him to come back and rescue Nigeria.
Let's not lose focus.
I don't know. If I talk like that, I'm working for this government.
Let's not go into that. All right. What struck me when I saw the report, I saw how many people have died. Those that are missing, I mean, maybe the number will still go up.
You know the level of the water is about 10
some people were rescued.
10 feet high.
10 feet high.
Listen, some people were rescued. In fact, what happened in Thailand? Thailand was synonymous with counterfeits. Counterfeits, not imitation, counterfeits. That's when you talk about you buy something and they say it's from Taiwan.
Okay.
That is not good. Do you see what they did to 12
students
that were stuck
in the cave.
Yes,
As in,
if it was in Nigeria,
they would have gone.
True.
They would have died.
Now, my concern is that the government has not said that we have rescued
one person.
You know,
what they are doing is that they are declaring missing people.
You know what struck me again in this particular incident is when I saw the figure, you know, people who have died, those who are missing. I'm like, oh my God, more displaced people.
But let me ask
more displaced
Patience,
people.
let me ask a question.
You know what this means is we have more refugees, more Nigerians who are becoming
refugees in their own land.
In their own land day by day. That is it. Because I mean, if more than 500 homes have been destroyed, where are they going to live?
Now I'm going to ask a question. What happens to our first responder?
Epidemic looming epidemic.
Serious one.
And now the government is not doing anything about that. That alone, for those.
You know, I think also the government needs to change this mindset of for everything they'll just tell you relief materials have been sent. It's as if the government has money kept aside for relief materials.
I know that's exactly what we discussed yesterday on the program when some people actually from which state was that? The IDP, that's Plateau State. Plateau State. When the government actually wanted to go and give them the relief materials,
they stoned
this
Congo.
Yes, because I don't understand. We are see, in Nigeria, this is what happens in Nigeria. Something starts small. Before you know it, it becomes part of us. Mm-hmm. Now, we are beginning to have IDPs all over the place.
Everywhere, virtually
everywhere.
Within
a country, it's like having another small country within a country.
It looks like some people make money
to hear about IDPs
during war.
In
Somalia.
Syria.
What do they call it?
Liberia.
Liberia had it.
First time I heard refugees and knew what refugees was with Liberia and the Liberian war. The other time I came in reality with refugee was when I was a refugee myself. I became a refugee for 9 days. That was the first crisis that happened in Jos. I happened to be there at that time, you know. So it made me understand what they go through. Because day in, day out, you're standing on your feet, it's raining on you, it's terrible. It's terrible. All right, I mean, this morning on my way to work, I passed by a newspaper stand. And of course, you know, the Free Readers Association, they were there. And I caught part of their conversation. And of course, this issue is on the front page of some of the tabloids. And one of the guys just dropped the paper and was like, oh my God, people have died again. There's no day people will not die in this country. And we are not even fighting war.
Exactly.
Even when they are fighting war, they don't die every day.
That's my concern.
You know, but that touched me. It touched me.
It will be
no, we will not
go to Nigeria. If we go to war, African countries will be wiped out.
When Nigerians are dying,
we won't.
Today, now, the day Nigerians are dying,
it's becoming alarming.
You thank God.
All right, our viewers rather, I said readers.
Readers Association.
Our viewers are reacting. This one says, good day all. I listen to your program and I feel moved with what majority of the masses are passing through. My question is, who among the people on the corridors of power listen to this program? I'm telling you, that they hear. We just pray God will touch them. It's increasingly difficult to feed where most of governors has addicted to the half payment of salary. A governor owing state workers 16 months, yet they're going for election. What is the basis of their campaign? Election is around the corner in September. The economy of Nigeria is termed to be regarded as a diseased economy, despite the availability of natural resources in Nigeria. Its citizens still wallow in penury. Mr. President cannot be everywhere. Shouldn't be responsible for everything. Please blame this rotten behavior on our non-functional institutions. Yes, Nigerian leaders, they are not good in all areas of leading people in this country. That's Joel from Adamawa State. This other one, Marcos from Lagos says, it is shameful to see that our dear nation cannot learn from the past. This is what you get when leaders who don't have interest and safety of the common man at heart are leading you. It didn't happen in Katsina alone, but also in Ogun State. That's true. It happened in Abeokuta. Okay. Yeah.
I think it happened in those states.
But
the
also,
child was flushed away.
yeah,
Yes.
also in Ogun State, my heart goes to those who lost their lives. I urge the Nigerian government to be up and doing in protecting the lives of the citizens. God bless Nigeria. Thank you, Marcus, for that. In spite of it all, let's still pray for Nigeria and let's still keep the hope alive.
Patience, if you go to that now, we'll quarrel here.
Somebody wrote something today. Somebody wrote something today and said, we use police and army for the elections.
Yes.
And we asked us to pray for Boko Haram.
Oh, I mean, it's
Does it make sense?
30,000 policemen for one
for
election.
one election in a state as small as Ekiti State. With
All
17
right.
local government.
No, I'm sure Patience doesn't want us to go there.
Joseph from Benin. Joseph from Benin says, good day, presenters. Katsina flood issue is a serious disaster to those people living in that area. The state and federal government should come to their aid immediately, and I pray God will help Nigerians from all these problems here and there. You know, I did my NYSC in Katsina State, so I have an emotional attachment to that place, sort of, you know. I lived 1 year of my life there. So mentioning all these areas, Jibia, Daura, Funtua, they're all areas I applied in the course of that. So it makes me really sad, you know, that this is happening. It shouldn't happen to anybody at all, be it Katsina or wherever.
You understand, see, that's
people
why
being killed by flood.
That's why I was saying
all that.
something that
Some
other
are
states,
preventable.
thank you, they're actually
Let's
preventable.
do the
But
right
what
thing.
would other states get to do? Now, other states
Even
will.
if it happens.
Lagos did it.
Now.
And it
Lagos
worked.
did it. It worked.
It has happened in Katsina.
If they don't know how to come to Lagos and get the prototype, is that what it's called?
It has happened in Katsina.
Yeah.
The same river passes through another state.
And it was not
He's
happen.
sitting, oh,
It's sitting.
because he has not touched him.
Like a keg of gunpowder.
Because he believes that when it happens to him, president will fly in. And they will bring relief material. And some people will make money from it.
This is sad.
How is
All
the
right,
difference
gentlemen,
from relief
let's
materials?
move on. Let's move on. We pray that God will grant the families of those who died in this incident the fortitude to bear this loss and
My prayer
and
is
help
that
Nigeria. God
we
help
don't
this
have to
country.
discuss this again on another stage.
Amen.
Again. That's just
Amen
my
to
prayer.
that. Third mainland bridge to be repaired. The Minister for Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has clarified that the third mainland bridge in Lagos will be shut down for only 3 days. Oh, not 27 months like some people have been saying. And this is starting from the 27th of this month, July. According to the minister, the bridge will only be closed for those 3 days, contrary to the reports that are flying around. And this first 3 days is just for investigative purposes, for them to analyze, you know, how far the damage is and how long it will take for the actual repairs. Let us listen to the minister himself say it. All right, so we can clear the air.
The statement we put out was that we were closing it for the first 3 days, I believe, from the 27th or thereabout of July. We had wanted to do it earlier, but we thought that if we allowed children to go on vacation, it will reduce the number of vehicles that needed necessarily to be on the road, and therefore ultimately reduce the amount of inconvenience that ultimately. But we're torn between maintenance and safety and people's convenience. But essentially, the first 3 days at the end of this month, as was issued in our press statement, was for investigative work to be conducted to assess the current condition, because there is a procurement for maintenance that has been approved. But between that time and now, some things may have changed. So we wanted to really do an examination again, just to be sure that there has been no material deterioration beyond what we procured. We will try and reduce the period of closure as much as possible, but this is a choice between people's safety ultimately. That bridge must not collapse, and it needs maintenance. It has been built now upwards of going 30-something years. So, and if you recall, the maintenance that was done at the time wasn't completed because the budget was cut. That was why they now did it in phases. So we're back to what we should have done before. It's costing more, but it needs to be done.
course, we had the minister there, Babatunde Fashola, clearing the air there, you know, like 3 days, not 27 months, according to fake news media. Mr. Godi.
I think, I don't think this is a very serious issue. If the reporter didn't misquote the minister, I mean, closing Third Mainland Bridge has become a norm for us. I don't think there's any government that has never closed Third Mainland Bridge. Partial closure or so thereabout. But my concern is, you see, the focus is still on Third Mainland Bridge. We have other 2 bridges getting us to the island. Don't forget, the Third Mainland Bridge is just not a name. It's a name because it's a third bridge leading us to the island. Now, what happened to the other 2? Because I applied the 2 too, and I feel the impact, how they are not functioning very well. Because closing Third Mainland Bridge for minor repair, for assessment, should be a regular thing by the government for a bridge that long, okay? And you know that, yes, in some other government, what they also do is that if you close that bridge, you are going to put pressure on the other 2 bridges. What have you done? We know that the Ikorodu Road has been taken over by tankers and the long vehicles. The other one is, I think, the Modway, the one leading to
Idumota.
The Modway has taken over.
Over that one.
Now, what are you going to do? How do you expect those who work in Lekki, Victoria Island, mainland,
Aja,
how do you expect them to cope? What I expect the minister to do is to tell us that we are closing this place. But in the meantime, for that 3 days, you know what could happen in 3 days in Lagos? Because that thing will cause a very mad traffic everywhere. What Alaro is complaining today is going to be a tea in the teacup. I mean, a storm in the teacup, rather. What I expected the minister to say is that these are the alternatives we have made. For those 3 days, you can apply this route freely. The minister did not do that. He only said that. This is the same minister that walk like anything in Lagos. He perform magic.
Well, I think that the LASMA officials will be able to.
They'll be on ground.
Yes, they'll be on ground.
What happened to our water?
Let me
tell you something. LASMA official can only control traffic when there is road.
All right, Mr. Francis.
Well, what I want to say is this. Closing the bridge is not a problem. But the question is, the other 2 bridges have been taken over. I was expecting the minister to say that all these tankers, all these trucks should clear that place. If not because of the length of Third Mainland Bridge, I'm sure these truckers will have been on the bridges.
Yeah, yes, of course.
And it's going to happen very soon.
We don't even allow them to fly the road.
Yes, it's going to happen. You know, because there's so much lawlessness. If you know what is happening along this Apapa Oshodi right now, a trawler will just park on the road. You won't see the driver. So if we're closing Third Mainland Bridge for 3 days, maybe they should just ask people living on those areas not to come to work for 3 days.
That's it. Apart from that, what about our water transportation? That would be a better.
How many of those water ferries the state and federal government have?
That's what I'm saying. Why are they not looking in that direction to say, let's get this right so that
an alternative?
Yeah.
Now we are always talking about problem. We don't talk about solution. You are going to help us repair the bridge. All well and good. We appreciate you, Mr. Minister. But however, can you get us a way to get to the island without feeling too much pain? Because for that 3 days, I was going to, when I came back from Abuja on Saturday, I have something to go to, I have something to do here around 4 p.m. I now realize that. So on weekend, we still experience traffic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't drive through Federal Palace. It was mad.
No, but sorry, Mr. God, I want to ask this question. You know, I remember a few years back, we used to have morning session in school and evening session, and then we had government functionaries working. Some work in the morning, the others work in the evening. What has happened? The other day I was coming back from Owerri at the local airport. they were trying to fix light and all of that. It was like people were there, and these guys were mounting all sorts of. I don't understand. Safety. Nobody's talking about safety in this country.
Anything could fall and
you imagine. So
you can imagine that, madam.
When did we stop working in the night?
Even the waste management.
How would they know that they are working?
Waste management trucks now also complete road with us at the daytime with all kind of epidemic looming.
Can't they do it in the night?
Those things were done at night.
So what has happened? Why is this? Why are we still coming? It's like we're going back, to the Stone Age. We're not moving forward.
Okay, lots of issues become a headache.
They are working.
A headache for a lot of
No, we don't need to
Nigerians.
see people for us to know that they are working.
We need to see the work.
We need to see the work.
All right. I hope they are watching and they are listening, and the right things will be done. Thank you so much, Mr. Godiofose. Thank you indeed for joining us. And Mr. Francis Chilaka, we appreciate your contributions to the program today. Thank you, Alero.
Oh, thank you, Patience. I'm now free.
I'm not back in the traffic now.
Thank you. We're going back into the traffic. Thank you, viewers, for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow at noon, God willing. Do join us again. Bye.
Nothing beats expression from creativity.